I still do not see our purpose in coming here.
Relax, old man. Going for a stroll on the lower decks every once in a while is good for you. Lets you see how the simple folk live.
I tread a path unexplored.
Over there!
The world trembles beneath my feet. Let's seize the opportunity. The world will bow.
This ocular implant was a worthwhile investment.
Over.
Embrace true power. Powers unseen uncover my path. I see the forbidden. I tread a path unexplored.
My ears are ringing.
Cast your eye there.
I can see the agitation and fear of the servants beside me. But you, how do you manage to drown out their colors with mere words? Their dark hues dissolve immediately, and humility sets in.
I have always desired only respect, not fear. It is good to know that my efforts have not been in vain. Thank you for telling me.
The Emperor favors me today. I better myself through my service.
Intriguing. Your struggles are in vain.
Let the blood flow! Crush the feeble! Let's get to it!
I've suffered worse. Brace yourself, Abelard.
Descend upon the weak.
Cover me! What an unfortunate turn of fate.
Out of my way!
I bring ruin!
Chaos guides me. Death to non-believers! High momentum.
I am a navigator, not a servant. Witness the fury of House Orcelio.
A tactically sound approach.
The enemies of the Emperor will be undone. As the Emperor commands, none can escape the Emperor's judgment.
The world trembles beneath my feet.
Tell me something, Benai Cassia. Do you truly see the Undying One's light in the darkness between the stars? What is it like?
Amid the boundless terror of the Sea of Souls, his distant light is akin to a great burning heart. I see it beating in the darkness, and I know that I can find my path.
The premonition runs true. Over.
prevails.
Would you look at that?
Let's seize the opportunity.
The Whispers taught me how.
I tread a path unexplored.
Just as I was taught.
Your existence is naught but ashes.
Show them no mercy. Death to the weak! I serve the ruinous powers! Your end is near!
I know what is to come. Be gone!
Chaos guides me.
Amidst the carnage, I find purpose.
Out of my way! Ah!
I've seen worse battles than this in my time.
Reduce to dust!
High momentum.
Step aside. The navigator is coming.
I would that I could. Trust me. Killing brings me no pleasure.
Chaos guides me.
What is this foreboding?
One step closer.
Let's get to it.
Tried and tested tactics are the best ones.
I have read tomes of military tactics.
Rejoice in battle!
A dance of blades and shadows.
Death to non-believers!
They who discern the future on the battlefield.
Battlefields are always drowned in scarlet.
This is unacceptable. Doubt is for the weak.
I bring mercy and retribution. Death is a blessing. There is movement in the Empyrean. Farewell.
The world will bow. Intriguing. The world trembles beneath my feet.
Greetings.
I haven't...
Lord Captain? Lord Captain.
What are you talking about, Lord Captain? Look, Lady Theodora couldn't care less if some eggheads measured my brains or not. It's not about the seal on your forehead, get it? It's about what's in your gut, if it's rotten or not. My gut's stronger than the adamantine on this here ship, and my implants are better than the ones they put in you on your Terra. If they weren't, I wouldn't have lived as long as I have. It was just my nerves playing up. Something about our little saint doesn't sit right with me, and I trust my gut. Oh sure, she seems straight as an arrow and as predictable as a hangover after drinking. But when I look at her, something about her makes my brain itch. After that conversation, I tried to listen to what was being said about her. Beyond the door. What I heard was strange. Blood in her past, twilight in her present, and something like a star leading her. But where is it leading her? I saw several roads, and all of them frightened me. If I knew, I would have told you. Hearing things clearly requires cooperation from the other person, you know. But that cobra just hisses and spits its venom at me. I don't trust her one bit. Oh yeah, you go ahead and tell her the wicked Psyker has divined something about her. She'll be so pleased and grateful, and of course she'll listen to what you have to say. No, that would be pointless. And anyway, I'm not even sure what it all means. Maybe the danger is to her? Or maybe the danger's coming from her. Lyra, an outlying world in the Heathen Stars region. In the Coronis Expanse, the deeper you go, the less visible the Astronomicon gets, and the less people know about the Imperium. The arrival of a rogue trader is the best thing that can happen to a world like that. The very best. It's an out-of-the-way planetoid between two faint stars. On Lyra, a dozen local tyrants fight over 5 measly continents. But they use everything they can to win. From poison to psychers. I haven't been there in many years, but there's nothing for me to miss. Trust me. But here on the ship is a different story altogether. I saw more wonders in my first year serving Lady von Valancius than I'd seen in my whole life on Lyra. Like my first journey through the warp, I was in bed for 3 days. I felt like supernovas were exploding in my head. I only found out later that I'd gotten off easy. Just through the bulkhead, in the bay next to mine, a whole team turned into... Look at me rambling on, Lord Captain. Pay no attention. It wasn't like it was a very fun trip, Lord Captain. But look, if you want to be entertained, I'm the woman for the job. I'll entertain you with one of the stories from my collection, no problem. But if you want to hear about the time I melted everyone in the bay next door, well, I just don't really want to go into the details on that one, all right? Oh, I embroidered wall hangings in honor of our national heroes. I did the same thing I do here, Lord Captain. Divining. Our rulers prized the ability to see into the future. Every psyker that could be found was worth a small fortune on Lyra. There's no such thing as a peaceful life on Lyra. People like me were especially sought after. They'd pick psychers up wherever they found them, buy kids off their parents, even just abduct them. Take me, for instance. I got taken from my street gang. The older kids sold me when they noticed there was something off about me. The ruling dynasties had schools where they trained us and beat us black and blue. And then they packed us off to serve. Some of us held on for a long time, but others didn't last. Not everyone's as smart and talented as me, you know. Some people crossed the line and were out of commission before their time. Theodora von Valancius paid a visit to the ruler I was serving at the time. I don't know what the visit was for, and it's no business of mine anyway. I can still remember the way the voices in my head changed when I looked at her. They were practically screaming. She had so much behind her, and plenty ahead of her too. As I gawped at her, all of a sudden I heard a whisper. A hint, a suggestion, nothing more. But I know the difference between idle chatter and a real threat. I seized my chance and approached Theodora. I managed to whisper a couple of words in her ear before the wardens dragged me away. They beat me and locked me up. No wonder. It wasn't my place to converse with outsiders. And then Theodora's people came for me. They broke down the wall, butchered the guards. Also, I could tell them my warning in full. So I said the rest, but I didn't want to go back to my old life. And so I entered the service of the von Valancius dynasty. A few times. Not many. And if I think about it, why would I want to? I've got everything I need here. All the whispers I hear are familiar ones. They almost feel like family. And if I want to hear about the nightmares off the ship, I can, after some Amisec. But don't go getting the wrong idea. If I have to, I'll follow you to the edge of the galaxy. Of course, Lord Captain. You bet I do, Lord Captain. Okay, so we went to Footfall once. Well, I mean, Lord Captain Theodora went to Footfall a lot. But on that occasion, she took me with her for some reason. My day had gotten off to a bad start. My head had been yammering since I woke up, but there was nothing else for it. I had to go. We arrived at the place. And what a place! All the gentlemen and ladies dressed to kill, showing off their encrusted implants, all clustered around little tables. Well, turned out it was a gaming den. And not just any gaming den, but one run by somebody with deep pockets for people with just as much cash to splash. You should have seen it. People gambling away planets in a game of regicide. Anyway, so the Lord Captain wanted me to help her beat some guy. So I tell her, the chips won't land in your favor. You'll get a bad hand. Don't sit down at that table, your ladyship. But did she listen? Of course she didn't. If there's one thing she never lacked, it's stubbornness. So they sat down and the cards were dealt. I'm hovering around like I'm not involved, but I'm keeping my eye on things. And everything in my head keeps getting louder and louder. Anyway, it's a good thing I realized in time that my mind wasn't going haywire over a losing hand, but something else. I made some excuse to drag the Lord Captain up from the table and took her away from that place. And a few minutes later, the room where we'd been... It turned out some wise guy had the same bright idea to bring a pet psyker along with him. One of those ones who just scuttle around in Footfall's underbelly. And the psyker just freaked out, I guess. After all the commotion, people went to see what happened in the room. And they'd all gone for each other's throats. Literally. With teeth. And I think they completely detached that asteroid from footfall and pushed it off into open space so it would head off toward the local star. Lord Captain, forgive me, but it would be like talking to a person born blind about colors. I could spend hours explaining, but it wouldn't make any sense to you. Every psyker feels their connection with the warp in their own way. One person might see spots and shadows out of the corner of their eye. Another feels fingers running down their spine. As for me, I've got a door in my head. One that's open just a crack. There's no way to close it, no matter how hard I try. I've just had to get used to the whispers from the other side. When I need to use it for work, I listen in more closely. But I usually just try not to notice it. Training, habit, and a little amasec and a couple other things you can get on the lower decks. If you put all those together, it makes things bearable. Sometimes I even wonder if I'm imagining half the voices I hear. You know, when life on board gets a little boring. Better than listening to the living, anyhow. Well, if the door opens, that means somebody's planning to come in, right? But screw them. They're not coming through. Trust me, I know how to keep my valuable head locked up tight. Only losers who are afraid of their own gift lose control. Or idiots who never figure out what they are before it's too late. Or little kids who want to play around with their shiny new toy. If you don't know the limits of your abilities, or you're always bouncing around in your own head, that's a recipe for disaster. All right, that's what I'm here for after all. So, I'm just going to lean on that door in my head a little more, prick up my ears, and listen to what the warp's got to say about you. If you'll allow it, I can listen right now. All right, let's hear what they're whispering about you, Among the blind men and false prophets, a red-robed sage seeks the answer to a question. He does not know that it is not the answer he must seek, but the question that will draw everything into focus. Will you help him, rogue trader? But mark that sometimes ignorance is sweeter than oblivion. A chained hound chases after glimmers of the aurora, but sparks in the scent of oil confound his nose. A chain trails after him. What will happen if you pick it up? Will you become his master, or merely another beast in the pack of his true lord? The glow of dawn bursts forth from its prison. Dungeon walls cannot contain the dark essence wallowing in the dust. A naive cub pushes his nose into a familiar hand, one that holds death in twisted glass. Cherish it or cast it off as a burden. The sword of change has already been raised. What is one more life to it? I'm sorry, Lord Captain. The voices are going wild. I can't make out a thing. I'll try to rein them in, somehow. But for now... All right. Let's hear what they're I'm sorry, Lord Captain. The voice... None of the officers knew the Lord Captain well. Not even Abela, and she was always closer to him than anyone else. She told me from the off if I ever listened to anything in the warp about her without her permission, I'd be going out through the airlock. I'm not an idiot, so I never stuck my nose where it didn't belong. Only when I was asked. It's hard to wrap my head around the fact that she's gone. Lady von Valancius gave me everything I have. She opened the stars to me and the paths between them. I still think I can hear her voice. The little sister is afflicted with her own set of voices, ones that whisper to her about corruption and heresy. The silly girl doesn't realize that if she wants to find the source, she needs to start by looking in her own head. Of course. Of course.
Domin. The Vizier taught us that there are many like us throughout the Imperium who spill blood in his name. Death cultists, as they call us. He said that no two death cults are the same, just as there are no two identical stars in the void. I will tell you about the blood-spun web, but I cannot speak on behalf of all death cults. The blood-spun web holds the bays of the flagship together with the threads of its faith. Such is our service to the Domini of the von Valancius line. The Undying One commanded the Domini to embark on a ship and sail the void's expanse. And thus, it became our duty to protect your dynasty and the Ark that became its home. This great relic of blood and adamantine. Some loathe and fear us. They call us murderers and reapers. Others call us dancers of death, who send the souls of the dead on their way. Both are right. Both are wrong. We are servants of the undying Emperor. When he whispers that the time has come for a righteous martyr's soul to be laid in his blessed hands, we come to claim it. When he whispers that the wicked must know of his wrath, we come to reap. This is how we maintain order on the ship, unseen and guided by death's will. Death's whisper is unmistakable. It is not like the murmur of stars or the hiss of corruption. It is truthful, pure, unyielding. Only the most eminent of us, the High Spinners, can hear the whisper of the Undying One and give voice to his will. They must hone their senses and temper their body and soul for years before his call can reach them. If it puts you more at ease, you can think of these whispers as his providence. We are carried along by a current of blood in the great river of fate. Life is not given or taken away by chance. If I see an enemy of humanity, my blade will sever the thread of their existence. I will not wait for a sign of his divine bidding. I am his will, and I do what must be done. There is no thirst, only duty. Killing brings us no pleasure. We are instruments of his will, And this is how we serve him. Spinners carved the chronicles of our history on the stones of our temple long ago. But fate and time have erased our past, just as an exploding star erases a part of the galaxy from existence. It is the Visier's duty to watch over the flock, to lead those who want to learn more of the Undying One, but are fearful of death, and guide those who seek answers in death, but do not know how to live. The Visier protects all, those who do not know we exist, those who are grateful for our service, and even those who hate us. The Visier sees what is to come, remembers the past, and accepts the present. They spin a web of faith and blood so strong that no enemy may sunder it. This is the Visier's burden. This is the legacy of the matriarch spider. It is said that she was one of many, born in the void, the Domin's subject. She honored death instead of life, and for this, she was persecuted. It is said that when the arch-enemy's forces invaded the flagship during a warp jump, she gathered the Undying One's servants around her and saved the ship from ruin. Together, they spun the first threads of the web to ensure that such devastation would never happen again. It is said that she was strong and indomitable, but as the years passed, her heart became as stone, and thus the Undying One whispered her name to the one who would become the first Visier of the blood-spun web. Through blood, sweat, tears, and the strength of their convictions, the servants of the Undying One spin the souls of your subjects into threads of balance. This is why we refer to ourselves as spinners. Those who are newly committed to the blood-spun web are called lesser spinners. If they are faithful in their service to him, they may eventually become spinners. The most devout of us all are known as the High Spinners, of whom there are 7, each bearing a unique title. The Visier, the first spinner, leads the cult. I, Kibella, am the second spinner. The third spinner's name is Io, and there are 4 more. The Undying One is death itself. We serve him, and thus we serve death. This is not a comparison, attribution, or preference. It is the truth, and nothing can change it. The tenets are knowledge, an art that is passed down from one generation of the blood-spun web to the next. Even so, there are spinners who will never fully comprehend this knowledge in the time allotted to them by the Undying One. The tenets dictate how one follows the thread of life, but they are also the thread itself, from first breath to last. The tenets cannot be taught. They must be lived. Only then will you understand. The tenets. I am the second spinner of the blood-spun web. A spear in the hand of the undying Emperor. I am your shield and shadow. Your blade. The tenets compel us to let our deeds speak on our behalf. There is no one in the cult who does not know me. So I have grown accustomed to taciturnity in matters regarding myself. Ask, and I will try to give you an answer that will satisfy your thirst for knowledge. I remember nothing of my childhood. The Vizier says this is because of my training and the injuries I received in battle. He told me it is the fate of all high spinners. The only memories I have are of the blood-spun web and the brothers and sisters who serve the cult alongside me. When we were young, we would sew our eyes shut and wander through the bays for months at a time, starving, surviving, dying. This trial of darkness honed the senses of those who passed it. We were elated, for we knew we were blessed by him. When we grew older, we learned to wield our weapons, and our mentors tested us with pain, poison, and the weight of deceitful words. In time, our bodies no longer felt pain. Our blood became resistant to toxins, and our focus could not be shaken. We were at peace, for we had shed everything that could encumber our faithful service to him. When we came of age, we faced a great trial. A year-long vigil spent in unceasing prayer to the Undying One. When hunger and other base sensations faded away, we attained true comprehension of ourselves and our place in the world, our place between life and death. We were proud, for on that day, he truly accepted us, and we accepted him. It is impossible to understand the value of your body and spirit if you've never experienced physical or emotional pain. Pain is temporary, but experience endures. Experience can be sharpened like a blade and turned into mastery. I've never regretted walking the thread I was destined to follow. When we join the cult, we relinquish our past. The blood-spun web becomes our new family. I have seen the pain, terror, and doubt in the eyes of those who hear the Undying One whisper the names of their kin. For some, the blessing of oblivion is a gift not unlike death. No. It brings me comfort when my brothers and sisters cross to the other side. The Undying One has called them to his side, so they can serve him in ways we cannot. Attachment makes us weak. The weak meet their demise prematurely. But such death does not please the Undying One, for a soul must not be claimed before their time has come. It is true that spinners occasionally cross paths with those outside the cult, but such paths always diverge in the end. We may walk the same road together, but we are nothing more than temporary traveling companions. It is similar for those of your retinue. Our threads may intertwine for a time, but all will go their separate ways, as is inevitable. But not you and I, Domin. Our threads cannot be unwoven, and only the Undying One will end my service to you. Know your enemy and prevail in battle. Know your ally and prevail in war. You can see for yourself. Tools for tempering the flesh. If a spinner neglects this practice for too long, their body will weaken and their sensitivity to pain might return. If it does, they will feel the overwhelming agony of every wound they have ever endured and go mad with torment before the Undying Emperor whispers their name. Is it possible to experience pleasure if one feels nothing? Do you have other questions? Your body will fail you, Domin. Your bones will break. Your tendons will snap. Your heart will stop. Our rituals of self-perfection are unending. They demand absolute dedication and decades of special training. However, if you devote the next 30 years of your life to its study, you might be. It is not difficult to speak the truth. Torture? I bear the sacred marks of the Undying One's service. Death has bestowed them upon me. Though others may cherish hollow riches or meaningless beauty, it is my duty to cherish his gift of blood. Each wound is a symbol of our service to him. Each drop of blood carries his blessing. To renounce these scars is to renounce the Undying One himself. Death whispers to me, "You are worthy of bearing his marks." Tell me, Domin, do you wish to honor your flesh with his gifts? I have not felt pain in a long time, but yes, let it be so. Treasure his gift, Domin. Inscribe it anew each time you pray. May his blessing find you. I met her once when I was young. The Vizier saw a serpent hiding among those close to Domin Theodora, ready to sink its fangs into her throat. I was ordered to find the serpent and sever the soul from its body. I watched and waited for weeks. I hid among the shadows, the air ducts and the faceless masses. Once I found the serpent, I sliced off its head and returned to the temple. I doubt that Domin Theodora ever saw me, but the 3 ritual cuts I left behind on the body let her know that this death was pleasing to him. They sent us a grand feast from the upper decks before the cycle's end. We gave it to the hungry. May the undying